What's up guys and welcome back to From the Attic. We need to talk about the insane acquisition that recently happened. Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard for almost $70 billion. Last year they bought Bethesda, now it's Activision. This is a monumental acquisition and will most definitely change the gaming landscape for better or for worse. So far we don't really know the details of this deal, but it's fairly easy to predict that most Activision franchises will now be exclusive to the Microsoft Game Pass ecosystem. But before I say anything about this, I want to make something crystal clear. I am not a Microsoft hater by any means. I've owned multiple Xbox consoles over the years and I'm planning on picking up a Series X or Series S sometime in 2022. I'm super excited for Starfield, Fable, and a bunch of other Microsoft exclusives. Even though PlayStation always had a special place in my heart, I never wanted to see Microsoft fail. I'm a fan, but I'm not a fanboy. So keep that in mind. And you're welcome to share your thoughts in the comments down below, but let's just try to have a civil discussion and stay respectful to each other. And also make sure to watch till the very end of the video to have the full picture of what I'm trying to say. With that being said, what do I think of this deal? Well, in my opinion, I think it's bad news for the industry. Of course, in the short term, this is an insanely good deal for Game Pass, and it just adds even more value to it. I think no one can argue with this, but I believe that in the long term, this acquisition will damage the industry. Not only this, but it also goes against the image that Microsoft was trying to build with Xbox. Let me explain. During an interview from July 2020, Phil Spencer said this about console exclusives. Our device is not the center of our strategy. We want to enable you to play the games you want to play with the friends you want to play with on any device. Well, except PlayStation or Nintendo, we forgot to mention this. Gaming is about entertainment and community, and I find it completely counter to what gaming is about to say that part of that is to lock people away from being able to experience those games. Gaming is bigger than any one device, and that is something as an industry that we've embraced as we bring more and more players in. I think it's vital to the role that gaming can play on the planet. This statement really doesn't sit well with me because with their last two acquisitions, Microsoft just triggered the ultimate console war, the thing they were supposedly against. Now PlayStation has no choice but to buy something. They just have to, business-wise, no matter how brilliant their exclusives are. Money is money, and Microsoft just took away a huge chunk of profit from PlayStation. So no matter how they will respond to this, they will have to do something about it. And that's where problems start to arise, in my opinion. To some people, Xbox buying Activision sounds like good news because that means more games on Game Pass. And that's very true. But this leaves PlayStation in a position that kind of forces them to acquire a publisher as well, which isn't something they do. They usually acquire developers and not publishing giants. Of course, they don't have Microsoft's money, but they could still acquire something like Square Enix, for example, which would take away already established franchises from the hands of millions of Xbox players forever. Which sucks. There's nothing cool about this. Just like there's nothing cool about taking away Call of Duty or Elder Scrolls from PlayStation gamers. Just wanted to drop by real quick because while I was editing this video, Phil Spencer posted something on Twitter that goes as follows. Had good calls this week with leaders at Sony. I confirmed our intent to honor all existing agreements upon acquisition of Activision Blizzard and our desire to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. Sony is an important part of our industry and we value our relationship. Even though this does sound good, all I can see while reading this tweet is existing agreements like Warzone or Call of Duty Vanguard, for example. I think that future entries are still up in the air, but only time will tell. That being said, if Call of Duty really is to remain a multi-platform game, then this is good news. Nonetheless, what I'm saying still applies to any Bethesda or Activision franchise that used to be multi-platform, even if their sale numbers are not as huge as Call of Duty. They might not hurt PlayStation as much, but they still represent gamers losing some of their favorite franchises. Of course, talking about Square Enix, there's also the question of third-party and timed exclusive, which PlayStation does do a lot. Just take Final Fantasy XVI, for example, which is a PlayStation 5 exclusive. This could also be considered gatekeeping, but still, most of the time, those kinds of deals are mainly for new IPs or series they already have a very strong history with, like Final Fantasy. Plus, let's be honest here, having an exclusivity deal for Final Fantasy XVI or like Ghostwire Tokyo is not like acquiring Call of Duty or the Elder Scrolls for the rest of existence. You can't compare apples to oranges, and that's something I've seen a lot online these past few days, people saying that when PlayStation buys something, no one is criticizing them, but there's a massive difference between the two. When Sony buys something, it acquires talent. Their studios work on long-established PlayStation franchises, or they create brand new IPs. But what Microsoft did was not buy talent, they bought brands. They didn't buy Infinity Ward, they bought Call of Duty. And by acquiring Activision, Blizzard, and also Bethesda, they bought multi-platform licenses. And that's bad, because if you've been playing Call of Duty on PlayStation for decades, now you are forced to migrate over to Xbox if you want to keep playing. Same thing with Elder Scrolls, Outer Worlds, Wolfenstein, and a bunch of other games like that. Sony's acquisitions made them stronger without playing in Microsoft's field, but Xbox wanted to not only get stronger but also make PlayStation and Nintendo weaker by taking away products from their player base. I mean, Microsoft is now the owner of Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon. That makes no sense. PlayStation never did anything like this. When console wars were all about who has the best games, it was fine in my opinion and led to healthy competition. But if it becomes who has the biggest wallet, that's where it's becoming an issue. Because Microsoft will just keep buying stuff, PlayStation will try to keep up by purchasing whatever publisher it can afford, and the war will never end, leading to the potential death of creativity, increased prices, and other symptoms of monopolization. What Microsoft did by acquiring Bethesda and now Activision is basically create a timeline where multi-platform games could eventually disappear. This might sound like a dystopia right now, but it's possible. Of course, we don't know exactly what their approach to exclusivity will be like, but they didn't purchase a $70 billion company for it to keep making games for their #1 competitor. And what saddens me the most is that the main reason behind that move is that Xbox, whether you like it or not, were simply not able to compete with Sony's first-party titles, despite owning many talented studios already. Don't get me wrong, they had a really great 2021 with Halo and Forza, but you can't deny that the past few years haven't been good for Xbox, especially during the Xbox One. And when they realized that they were unable to produce high-quality exclusives at the same rate as PlayStation, they decided to just say, screw this, if we can win, we're just gonna buy everything and you won't be able to compete because we're too rich. For me, it's just the ugliest side of capitalism. I don't know if I'm misunderstanding something about this whole situation, but that's how I feel at least. There could also be some positives out of all this, like Microsoft reviving old franchises, for example. That would be cool, but I think that the negatives might be more significant in the long run than the positives. On the creative side of things, Sony doesn't need to do anything, they're already killing it, but I think they've been brought into a spending war they didn't want to be a part of. Not sure how they will react to this, but we'll see. So that was my take on the whole acquisition thing. Tell me where do you stand on the matter. I hope you enjoyed this video because I won't be doing a lot of these kinds of business talks, but this news was just way too big for me not to talk about it. Next time, I promise I'll be talking about what we all love, games. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.